Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Joe's Hot Takes 25, the podcast where we ask the questions, dig up the facts, stir the pot, and hopefully leave you thinking a little deeper than before. This is Season 1, Episode 19, and today we're diving into a topic that has been buzzing in political conversations, social media debates, and even dinner tables across America. It's called democratic socialism. That just doesn't make sense to me. So real quick, this beautiful view behind me, this is where the real Oaxaca River, freshwater, runs into the Atlantic Ocean in Isabela, Puerto Rico. This is where fresh meets salt, and I thought, wow, this is a great background for today's discussion because we're going to talk about democratic socialism. I know, right? The two words seem to cancel each other out, kind of like saltwater and freshwater. One screams freedom, the other control. Or is that just what we've been taught to believe? So let's take a breath. Let's peel back the labels. Let's talk about what this actually means for our countries, for our freedoms, and for you. What does this mean for all of you? Let's find out. So, yeah, I keep hearing it all over the place, right? Democratic socialism. We just saw in a mayoral race in New York where the Democratic candidate came out and said he is a democratic socialist. And I thought, well, how can you be a democratic / democracy and socialist at the same time? Do those two fit together? Am I missing something? I have questions. I want to know more. So that's what this podcast is all about. Let's find out more. So did some research, and here we go, right? So first things first, what the heck is democratic socialism? It's a political ideology that combines, of just like it sounds, democratic principles like voting, civil liberties, multi-party systems, which really I've talked about multi-party systems before, and that's really not part of democracy. We've created that. So how that fell into this definition, I don't know. But all of these things with socialist economic goals. So basically, it wants to keep democracy intact, but steer the economy towards more fairness, or so it claims, greater fairness. So what does that mean in practice? Okay. Well, here are some of the key ideas. These are just key ideas of democratic socialism. And again, I'm not going to put my opinions in here. You may be able to read between the lines if I'm leaning one way or the other, but basically I just want to share the information. I want you to decide. I want to provoke the thoughts. I want to provide some information. You decide. What do you think? Is this something that our country needs? Will this work? What is it? What's it look like? So here are some of the key ideas. Public ownership. So we're talking about industries like healthcare, energy, transportation being owned collectively, either by the people directly or through the government. So you're taking free enterprise out of the picture, and you're looking at collective ownership. Either the people own the healthcare, energy, transportation type systems, or the government owns it, to which in democracy is the people. Or is it? Economic planning. So in economic planning, less of the leave it to the markets and more of let's plan for the common good. So those individuals that are able to get into the markets and invest and grow their money What this is saying is back out of that and let's be more of a, how can we plan across the board for the common good of all, not just ones that can afford it, but for all. That's the socialism part of this definition. Then wealth distribution comes up. So when you talk about wealth distribution, think of progressive taxation, universal basic income, everybody gets paid the same, nobody's making a whole lot more than the other person, everybody's kind of in a level playing field. There would be then free health care and free education for all. So this is the socialist part of what they're talking about. And then there's worker participation. So not just a job, but a voice in how the company runs. So this is really leaning very strong towards what the unions do. How are we going to operate? How many days a week are we going to work? How many hours a day are we going to work? What kind of benefits are we going to have? This is something that collectively all people will come together and try to figure this out. Sounds really good. I don't know if that can work, and we'll talk about that more. Then there's the environmental focus. So Green New Deal type policies to address climate change. That is something that democratic socialists are looking to do. How can we address climate change? Well, if you listen to any of my podcasts, I just did a podcast on climate change. So that one is really kind of an up in the air with me. I'm trying to really understand and be open-minded about climate change. And is it something that is really needing in-depth policies? I don't know. So then there's democracy and civil rights. And here's where they separate from the classic socialism. They want all of this while keeping elections, free speech, and civil liberties. So how do you keep elections, free speech, and civil liberties when you've pretty much turned over your entire economy and commerce to the government? I don't know. Theory, it could work, I guess. I don't know. Sounds good. Is it ideal? To me, it almost sounds like somebody's trying to have their cake and eat it too. So I don't know. So where is this happening at today? So I tried to look at this globally, like where do we see democratic socialism being practiced, or any types of socialism? Where do we see this being practiced? Is anybody doing it? Well, sort of, in what I could find. You've probably heard people say, hey, look at Sweden. Hey, look at Norway. They're the model. These democracies, these social democracies, practice a lot of what democratic socialists are aiming for. These countries are focused on universal health care, free college, building stronger safety nets for retirement and things like that. But here's the thing. They still have capitalism. They still have people that are making money, more money, and people that are making less money. They still have that. There's no across-the-board socialism where everyone's equal. So that still happens. But what they do have is a lot more rules and a lot more taxes. Some of the highest taxes worldwide. So, and if you watched my podcast on taxes, you'll pick that up, that some of these countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, they have high taxes. So the Scandinavian countries, that like I just mentioned, they kind of do blend capitalism with high social spending. Their policies, universal health care, paid parental leave, subsidized child care, you name it. They have all kinds of socialist policies like this to, I guess, to help or to support people that can't afford it. That's done through raising these taxes and trying to take the more wealthy and divide them with the less fortunate to bring it together. Can you do that? I don't know. So the United States, I don't know. Do we have a social Democratic Party? Well, I think the closest thing we have is if you're paying attention, you watch Bernie Sanders or AOC. Those are the closest people to what we've got. Their policies like Medicare for all and tuition-free college, those are inspired by those systems. And yes, there's a Democratic Socialists of America, or DSA, group that is pushing for radical reforms, worker-owned businesses, public ownership of big industries, the whole gamut of that. And I want you to think about that for just a moment. If you take away free enterprise, and the beauty of America, and why do people flock to America, and why is our immigration so great? And interestingly, I just watched a program recently called Sunday Morning, where they talk about the Statue of Liberty and immigration and what she means to people that immigrated to America, and some of the policies that have came about over the years to address immigration. But people come here for the opportunity. The opportunity is the free enterprise. In America, you are allowed to make as much money as you want to make. Come here, build a company, create a new idea, a new innovative item that is developed. Make as much money as you want. That's the beauty of the free enterprise system. With that, you have to really look at the picture of when we take large companies, and we can talk about Elon Musk, we can talk about Walmart, you talk about some of these big companies, and I hear a lot of people say these are just big corporate companies, and they take advantage of everybody, and so on and so forth. And I try to look at this in a broader spectrum, and in a broader spectrum, yes, Walmart has the ability to make as much money as they want. And do they get tax breaks, and are there other loops and loopholes? Of course there are. But look at the bigger picture. How many people every single day sit down in a decent home and have a decent meal with their families because they either, one, work for a Walmart corporation, for that Walmart corporation, and earn their living, or two, they purchase from that Walmart corporation where they can get things at a little bit better price than in other ways. So is there a benefit? Yes. What really bothers me too is when I look across the board at America, and I think about our wealthy, our middle class, and our poor, I really take a look at it. And I know this will spark some controversy, what I'm about to say, but I think if you do the research, you'll find that what I'm saying isn't all wrong. Our poor in America live much, much better than even the middle class, or even in some cases, some of the upper levels of their middle class in other countries. Our poor people, and I'm not talking about those that are homeless, I'm not talking about mental illness, I'm not talking about people that are impaired in any way, physically or mentally. I'm talking about people that are capable of working, people that are capable of earning, and capable of taking care of their families. We are a society that really does not know poverty. We know underprivileged. We know what it's like, and I'm telling you, I know what it's like to go paycheck to paycheck. As a young man working, I had a baby at home and a wife, and I'm working, and I'm literally, I cannot go out with the guys and get a cup of coffee because I don't have that dollar. I don't have a dollar in my pocket. I don't have an extra dollar, because if I had the extra dollar, it was going in the gas tank so I could get back to work tomorrow. Every penny I had, I saved so I could purchase food for my family, clothing, keep shelter over my family's head. I lived as low as I think you can live in this country at one time in my life. But we live in a country of free enterprise, and I was given the opportunities in this country to do more, to work 2 jobs, to open small business, to grow, to educate. I went to college. I have a degree. I paid for it. I paid for all of it. I worked 2 jobs and I paid for all of it. I came up out of the bottom level of making it in our society to certainly not the top tier, but I can sleep every night not worrying if I'm going to have food on the table tomorrow or if my family is going to have a roof over their head. And that's because of free enterprise. And I think that to say I want the people that were willing to go out there and make those risks and take the risks and make the money to now share it, or to think that I want to hand over large facilities to the people to run. Some of the people that we're talking about are people that have no desire to elevate themselves. None. Look at our welfare system. I talk about this in some podcasts too, where you have generation after generation living off of welfare. And these are capable individuals who are capable to work. And let me just throw this out there. Take a look at your doctors, your lawyers. In Phoenix, there's a Call Rafi. Call Rafi is a lawyer. Lawyers, doctors, scientists. Now we're seeing politicians are coming from other countries. From other countries, they're coming here. Our own people are not stepping up, rising to the occasion, and taking on these type of positions. So what makes you believe, or what would make me believe, that our people, generally speaking, are going to rise above, work together, create a democratic socialist party or government that will thrive? I have trouble with that. Okay. So this all sounds really cool, but does it work? So let's get into the real talk. Does it actually work? Are we just romanticizing Europe? Are we just saying, oh, it works in Europe? Let's look at the pros first. Let's look at the pros, because I want to be open-minded here. Advocates say democratic socialism leads to, and this is the research that I found, 1, lower inequity. Tax the rich, support the poor. Lower inequity. We are now taking the upper level and the lower levels, and we're trying to level them out and bring them together. Strong safety nets. So nobody goes bankrupt over a medical bill. Okay, that'll be a thing of the past. Better outcomes. Education, health, quality of life. Stability. Less boom and bust. More long-term, leveled out. There's no peaks, there's no valleys. It's kind of just a long-term level playing field of stability that goes across there. But what are some of the serious concerns too? And I think that, and this is part of the research, it's just not me thinking it, but I agree. If you're taxing success too heavily, then why innovate? Why would I want to go out? I mean, look, here's the thing. If I'm told to go out and pick 50 apples today, go out and pick, your job is to pick at least 50 apples today. And I know that of the 50 apples I pick, I'm going to keep 2 or 3 for myself, and then I have to give away the rest so that everybody else can have 2 or 3. Am I going to pick 60 apples today, or am I only going to pick 50? I think I'm going to hit 50 and I'm going to stop. Why? What's my motivation to be more innovative and to try harder? None. Same with productivity. Government ran industries. They lag way behind private ran industries. Why? Because in a privately ran industry, what we see is people trying to succeed, trying to get more, trying to get better, trying to have heavier profits and lower losses. Government ran, look at our government now. Trillions of dollars in debt. Trillions. You want to hand that over to the people that want to keep giving away money? That scares me. What about dependency? Are we just simply encouraging people to rely too much on the system? The people that say, well, I've been on welfare my entire life. I'm on welfare. My parents were on welfare. My grandparents were on welfare. There's no reason for me to do anything different. I have a roof over my head. I have a cell phone. I have internet. I have food. I have everything I need. I can survive just fine. I don't need more. So why would I do anything different? I'm dependent on it. I'm going to stay dependent on it. And you see that. And then the big guy, what about fraud? I mean, come on, bigger government, way more chances for corruption. And the biggest and the most serious concern that I found in this research is the cost, the overall cost. You cannot, here's the thing. I've talked in prior podcasts about the importance of being healthy, staying fit, taking care of yourself, eating healthy. But if I don't have to eat healthy, if I don't have to go to the gym because I have free health care, I have nothing to motivate me to stay healthy. I don't need to do anything. I don't even really have to work because there's other people out there that are going to do that for me. So that cost really, really becomes very high when you start talking about paying for health care, paying for food, paying for education, all these things, child care. I don't know how we could sustain that. And so that brings up the next question, like who's going to pay for all of this? It sounds amazing, but let's ask that million, or better yet, let's ask that $1 trillion question. Who pays for it? I wanted to look at some numbers, so I did some research, and here's what I found. And this is staggering. This, in and of itself, is enough to tell us that democratic socialism probably cannot work. 67.7 million Americans were enrolled in at least one government aid program in 2023. Folks, that is 20% of our country. 1/5 of our country is enrolled in some sort of government aid. And it's multiple. That is enrolled in at least one government aid, form of aid. Many people are enrolled in many forms of government aid. 1/5. So that means 4 people have to work to take care of the 5th. In April 2025, okay, this is recent, fresh information, 73.9 million Americans were collecting Social Security. Now, I didn't break it down to find out if those are solely dependent on Social Security or if that's people like me that at one point I'm going to hit retirement age or eligibility age and take Social Security. But 73.9 million, again, we're at about 17%, so almost 20% of our country is collecting Social Security. So you got 20% of our country that's taking advantage of government aid programs. 20% of our country is collecting Social Security. And then there are 28.1 million part-time workers. Okay, and that's another staggering number because that's about 17%, almost, again, 20% of the workers in our workforce are part-time. So again, 4 people are working full-time to carry the weight of those others that are working part-time or not working at all. So they're not paying much into the system, but they will need support. These people that are working the part-time jobs will need support, but they're not putting enough in to cover what Social Security they're going to need to survive. They're not putting in what they're going to need to survive if they have to get on government subsidies. So where do we get this money? I guess we get it from the corporations, right? We get it from the wealthy people. We just take it. We just tax them, to tax the snot out of them and take their profits to make everybody equal. I don't know. I think at that point you risk driving businesses away. You're going to stifle growth when that happens. I'm putting opinions in. It's just based on what I'm reading and what I'm learning. I just don't think you can have a social system without a strong economy to fund it. And if you don't have a strong economy to fund it, it's going to collapse. And you can't have a strong economy if you're going to take away the businesses and you're going to take away the American dream of free enterprise and growing. So let's talk people. Okay, now again, this is my personal take. Yeah, I like to keep my personal information out of here, my personal thoughts, but I know I'm going to ruffle up some feathers. But the biggest flaw that I have found when I'm looking at research on this, and I guess just my years of living on this planet and in this country, the biggest problem with democratic socialism is people. People are the problem. Greed, laziness, selfishness. Let's not pretend that those magically disappear in a new system. All of a sudden, everybody's going to go out there and carry their weight. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So, it's funny. A friend of mine, my very good friend, said to me, yeah, the problem with this is he goes, everybody has their role in the social democratic socialistic government. Everybody has their role. So, for instance, Sally is the butter maker, right? Sally makes butter, you make bread. That's the way it is. That's your job. You make bread, she makes butter. But one day, Sally's not feeling good, so she slacks. Now we have bread but no butter. And guess what? Nobody can do their job properly now because it's going to trickle down throughout anybody that's involved in this. To make the bread, I got to have the flour. To make the flour, you have to have salt. Pardon me. And you have to have the butter or you're not going to make the bread. And you can't have the butter if you don't have the milk. And it just goes on and on and on. So if every single person isn't always, every day, holding up to their end of the bargain, one area is going to slip behind. And I thought, wow, that's a really cute analogy. but it's kind of real. It's kind of real. We see it in every system, everywhere. When people feel that they don't have to try, that they don't have to be better than, then they're not going to. That's just human. That's just human nature. Why should I do something to give to others if the others are doing nothing to give back to me? So I'm not going to do it. And sure, some will rise above, right? There are going to be those at some point that are going to say, it's okay, I'll pick up Sally's slack, I'm going to make extra butter to pick up for Sally's slack. But at some point, that's going to burn out too. And, other people aren't going to do that. And they're going to exploit the system, and they're going to be generations on welfare, right? And then that system's just going to collapse under their own weight. So then there's the healthcare myth. So let's talk about the darling of democratic socialism, which is universal health care. Is it truly free? No. Somebody's got to pay for it. And how? Through taxes. It's not always better. Countries with universal health care often have long wait times. You've heard about this in Canada, where people are waiting long periods of time just to get in to see somebody. And then you have coverage restrictions. This is interesting. Coverage restrictions and limited access to specialists. So yeah, you can get treatment. You're probably not going to get it when you need it. And then here's the biggest question of all. Who decides? Who's the deciders of who's going to get coverage and who isn't? The government. That's who. So if Sally the butter maker hasn't been pulling her weight, right? Will she then become deprioritized for her care? So I don't know. It does happen in systems. Are they going to say to Sally one day, hey, Sally, you haven't been pulling your weight. You haven't been taking care of yourself. Your health is bad. You're not working up to standards. And we're really sorry, but this procedure that you need is going to cost a lot of money. And we're just not really ready to invest in you because you're not really someone that we need to invest in. So sorry, you're not going to get the extra health care that you needed. It happens. Check it out. Do the research. Be curious. Go look. Now, I'm not necessarily saying we should throw out every idea connected to democratic socialism, okay? Universal health care, is it a great idea? I don't know. Stronger worker rights, well, do we see that already? We have unions out there. We have just a lot of things have changed in our country to support workers and to ensure workers' rights. So I don't know. Is this the answer for America? Honestly, I'm going to say, and in most of the research I've done, the answer really is no. No, the idea is noble. The execution, whole different story. But let me leave you with this. All right, you ready for this? In a country where 20%-ish are already on welfare or some form of government aid, another 20% almost of our workforce are part-time workers. Are we really in a place where everyone will put in their fair share? We've got to fix what's broken. We can't just throw it away and say that it doesn't work. Let's fix what we have. We have a beautiful system in place. Why don't we focus on fixing that instead of trying to change it? So, all right. Wow, folks, I gave you a lot to chew on. That's a lot. We went from theory to practice, from Scandinavian countries to Sally the butter maker, So I hope you're walking away with a little more clarity, with a little more information. So now I got to ask you, folks, is democratic socialism a step forward? That's up to you to decide. Or is this just a shiny label for an unsustainable dream? That's up to you to decide. My job, to ask the tough questions, to bring you the facts. As always, stay curious. Keep challenging your mind. Challenge your ideas. Do the research. Find out. Be informed. That's so important. But above all, be kind to one another. Even when you disagree, right? Even when you disagree, you can do it with kindness and empathy with one another. Understand where each other comes from and advocate for one another. But be kind. Be kind. Always be kind. And that's it. So this closes up episode 19. We're going to catch you on the next one. We love it. It's fun. I hope you're enjoying the podcasts. Again, be well, be informed, and hey, don't forget to bring the butter.